All right. Yes, again, I'm Courtney, and the format of today will just be pretty informal. We wanted to just sort of create a little pop-up webinar to answer questions about the local match bonus and the new match cap, and really help to share just a few strategies we've seen newsrooms do when they receive a new campaign goal midway through the campaign. But also, this is a time, we're in a meeting format, so feel free to unmute, or if you have questions, drop them in the chat about this topic or really any other topic. We're recording this webinar for folks who can't come, so that they're also able to see the answers and ideas that we share today. I also want to introduce Christina, who you all might already know. You want to give an introduction to your work and how you contribute to NewsMatch?
Yeah, I work at the News Revenue Hub. We're one of the partners for NewsMatch, and we help with trainings and capacity building resources. So the toolkits are, items that came from our team, and it's been also great to meet many of you through office hours as well. So I'm here to be a resource, help you think through campaign strategy or review pitches or anything like that. Previous to the News Revenue Hub, I worked at Voice of San Diego and have been in fundraising for many years in different types of nonprofit organizations. So it's really great to see how we can bring all of these ideas from sectors to different newsrooms.
Yes, so I'm going to start by sharing my screen. We're just going to run through a few examples of how we've seen newsrooms sort of make a pivot midway through the campaign. And I also wanted to just talk about the match cap and the bonus as well. So you probably already saw the news that for organizations whose operating budgets fall below $1 million, we launched the campaign with a match cap of $10,000, but it's increased recently as of today to $13,000. So we just announced that. The other thing that might also sort of cause your campaign goal to increase midway is the partner funds. Many newsrooms have already been announced that they have been selected to receive partner funds, but we have funders that come to us and want to designate their funds for a particular topic or a particular issue. In that case, that could be an additional $1,000 or $5,000 from a partner funder, and you aren't notified about it until in the middle of the campaign. So that might be another reason as to why your goal increases. And the third reason is really mainly about this second bonus, the Knight Foundation local match bonus that we recently announced last week. But basically, it's designed to be an incentive for every participating newsroom to leverage it to engage major donors, local businesses, or foundations to provide community matching gifts that you can leverage throughout your campaign. You might have been working on this all year long. You might have just started working on this in the last quarter of this year, and maybe it isn't until now that a funder has actually given you permission to leverage their gift in this way, and now you have to message it to your audience. So wanted to pause there to make sure to see if any folks had questions just specifically about the match cap, partner funds, or local matches before we jump into examples. Let me open my
chat. If you could go back to the previous slide.
Yeah.
I think, if you're in active conversations with local or community funders and they're still on the fence about making a match, this may be a good opportunity to revive that conversation or try to kind of get them to the finish line to say, you do have an opportunity to unlock more funding because you can, as long as you bring in that match during 2021, it'll still qualify for the Knight Foundation local match bonus. So you could come to them and say, we have a chance to get another $1,000 that we could use to also raise additional support, and just see if that's a way to kind of secure a few more gifts from foundations or major donors by the end of the year.
Yeah, and what we heard from particularly large members is the idea of, even if it's not a significant amount of money, it does give newsrooms leverage to say that NewsMatch is coming to the table with something, even if it's just $1,000 or something. It does give them leverage to really engage community funders. And so this, is really leans into our strategy, where we feel like the future of NewsMatch really is about both NewsMatch as a national program and newsrooms across the country, both just helping to engage folks in making large donations in the form of matching gifts. We just hope that this will drive and just be an incentive for you all. Bonnie asks, I'm just going to read the question for the recording, that basically there's a local match donor who's pledged a gift already, and she intends to submit this for the local match bonus. Can we also include funds toward our NewsMatch match? Bonnie, the answer is no. It's either one or the other. So either the donation is being leveraged as a matching gift, matching small donations coming into your organization, or it is a one-time gift being matched by NewsMatch. Andrew asks, what about local funders who during NewsMatch give to us and tell us we can use it as a match if we want, but it's not up to us and they don't put restrictions on it? Would that qualify as a match? What qualifies as a match is when the donor gives you explicit permission to leverage their gift in that way. So we ask for documentation coming from the donor. It could be in the form of a pledge form, an email, written in the memo of a check. But it does have to be expressed as a donor giving you explicit permission, saying like, my contribution is here to match other donations you receive dollar for dollar. Again, like, it doesn't need to be that exact text, right? But it needs to be explicit and clear that that was their intention. And through the documentation process, we ask for forms of documentation for this. And if it's not clear, we might just follow up with you to ask a few questions or for additional information. What we don't want is for people to have received a one-time large gift and say it's a match when it's technically not. That's what we are looking to avoid. We want the local match bonuses really to incentivize matching gifts for your NewsMatch campaign. Does that answer your question?
I'm not entirely sure, because we had a situation where someone was preparing to give to us, and we pushed for them to give now so that we could leverage it as a match. And they said, you can do whatever you want with the gift. It's up to you. We're not restricting this. If you want to use it as a match, go ahead. And they sped up the process a little bit in giving it to us so that we could. But I think from their view, they were viewing it as, we're giving you $50,000. Do with it how you wish. And we said we'd like to use this as part of our matching campaign. And so we announced it, we campaigned on it, but they were planning to give anyway. We just kind of sped it up a little bit and got their permission to leverage it this way.
If you have documentation stating that, that states that was how they intended their gift to be used, that's what we're looking for to say yes or no to that question.
So if they said you can do whatever you want with it, because we asked, can we use this as a matching challenge? And they responded, yes, you can do that. Use it however you want. Would that be explicit enough, or is that?
I think, it's like a unique case. I don't want you to necessarily bug the donor, but if you have that in record, like via email, like something that's a record versus like a conversation, that's what I would submit. If the Miami Foundation has questions, they'll reach out to you and ask for greater clarity. They might ask for another form of documentation. They might ask you for further form of confirmation from the donor, which you can deal with then. So that's how I would answer that question. I think what we are hoping to avoid is like the moving around of funds just for the bonus, if the intention of the funds was really not to be leveraged as a matching gift.
All right.
The announcement of the Knight Foundation local match was mentioned midway through the campaign with not all these nuances. So I'd rather just review something like that on a case-by-case basis, and we follow up for more information. In the case of next year, we might come out a lot more clearly, like here's what it has to say, so that we're sort of avoiding these gray areas. And you're not the only one that's asked that question. And we've been saying the same things, like what we're looking for to really qualify this or not. Is it, clear, explicit intention from the donor? The other question before we move on, Nancy, you have a question. So when someone matches 25,000 and 10,000, NewsMatch plus 3,000. Nancy, would you mind breaking down that question for me?
No, not at all. I think you and I have talked about this $25,000 co-match that we're getting.
Yeah.
And then you have the original 10,000 from NewsMatch, and then the 3,000 that they just announced. And I have 36, but I meant 38,000. So could we say that your donations up to 38,000, with the other caveats, up to 1,000 per person, will be double?
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly it. Yep. We can jump right into those examples of what you're basically saying. You launch with the original match cap of 10,000. Now with the local match cap and the new member bonus, that's jumped to 38,000. Absolutely.
But the bonus won't co-match, right?
The bonus is not a match. Yeah, the bonus is not a match. The bonus is just like it's almost like a prize. It's a award that's given to you by meeting a minimum threshold.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
that's very helpful.
All right, let me point to Christina, who can basically exactly sort of what you shared, Nancy. This is one of the strategies we recommend. If you get a lump sum of money and additional matching gifts midway through the campaign, there are two things you can do with it. We say either one, you can raise the match goal, or two, you can triple matches for a period of time or for the duration of your campaign. So I'm going to pass the mic to Christina, who can explain the first strategy, which is raising the match goal.
Yeah, so raising the match goal, and we'll just use the original $10,000 amount and this new $13,000 amount example just to simplify things. So, raising the match goal is good. It comes in handy when you've already communicated this $10,000 match to all of your readers. And now there's this new opportunity and you're thinking, okay, well, what do I do now that everybody knows what $10,000, has this $10,000 number in their head? You can always announce a stretch goal. And I included this example from Anthropocene magazine last year where, they already mapped out an initial goal and they're saying they want to raise, 5,000 more. This is good if you've already met the match cap of 10,000 or are likely to do it during the campaign. If you're, if you've only raised, like $5,000 and you're not sure if you're going to hit 10, it doesn't really make sense to start messaging something new, because I think that would add more confusion. So you really have to think about your existing situation and how much you're likely to raise. It's also a great way to, update the readers on your progress. So you could even say, like, we have exciting news. We received an announcement that we're going to be able to unlock $13,000 and we're so close. So we're announcing the stretch goal and we want to raise X amount by this date. So just keep weaving in those deadlines and update people on your goals. And also it's exciting. So celebrate your wins and stay ambitious. I know sometimes it can feel, like you're getting tripped up on the messaging. Like what are we going to say? How are we going to go back to them with more money and ask for more money? But it is a really exciting opportunity because you've made it this far and you have the opportunity to go even further. So that's kind of the first way that you can message this new $13,000 cap.
And Christina, do you think that it's appropriate, like when is the time to announce the stretch goal? Once you've already reached the first 10,000 or at a different point in time?
Yeah, I think I think it would be fine to publicly announce it when you've met the 10,000, or internally, if you're going to hit it and it's pretty close, you could also use that, especially as we count down the days left in the year. You still want to give yourself enough time to raise the final amount, so it doesn't have to be exactly when you've hit 10,000. But I think just be prepared to publicly make that call on when you can go with it. I'd say when you're close to 10 or at 10.
I think in the case of some members who might be much further along. So say Nancy, let's take your example. So say to date, you've raised $20,000, right? And now that you have a local match of $25,000 plus the NewsMatch increase, right? You've raised 25,000 of a potentially 38,000 that can be matched. In this example, what I would do is, because you're jumping from 10 to 38, which is pretty significant. So if in your current materials, if you are currently announcing 10, what I would do is wait until you've reached another significant milestone and then provide an update. Like it might look like something like, thanks to our members, we blew past our initial goal of raising $10,000 in the first few weeks of our campaign. Since then, other funders have stepped up to really challenge our readers to do more. Currently we've raised $25,000, but when we raise $38,000, but we can unlock up to $38,000 in matching funds, help close the gap. So if you're going from like a small amount of match funds to a huge significant jump like that, what I do is acknowledge what you have achieved to date and then start pointing directly to that larger match cap. However, if you're in a situation and you're like, wow, I don't think we'll be able to, say you got a partner fund or you got a local match fund, and you're like, wow, I don't think if we added these on top of our NewsMatch 10,000, I don't think we'd be able to raise that by December 31st, right? So say, for example, you start off with a NewsMatch 10,000, another local funder gives you 10,000, and you're like, we're only at 5,000, like we're not gonna raise 20,000 by December 31st. The other strategy that you can do is what we call tripling. You can almost see this as like running both matches simultaneously. So if you receive additional match funds and you're nervous about adding them on top of one another, not reaching it, the other thing you can do is run them concurrently, run them at the same time, and say donations will be tripled. So a donor gives you $5, NewsMatch matches $5, and then this partnered fund matches $5, or this local funder matches $5. This is a strategy you can use if you're looking to really maximize your different buckets of partner funds and still do it within an attainable goal. The other thing to note is, say you receive a partner fund that's relatively small. So, or a local fund that's relatively small. So say a local donor only makes a contribution of $5,000, and you're like, yeah, well, we can't that can't triple all the donations we expect to receive now through the end of the year. What I would recommend doing is leveraging the triple match concept for a period of time. So maybe it's that final week, all gifts are tripled. Or if there's a big day, you know, like if you have a statewide giving day or something else that you're participating in, you could leverage a smaller local match or a smaller partner fund match at the same time, but for a condensed period of time. So that was a lot of information. So I want to pause and see if folks have questions here. I do see one in the chat from Jess. How do we approach this if donors want to remain anonymous?
Yeah, this was mainly for when reporting back to you for the $3,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
The donor does have to fall within INN's member financial transparency standards, which means that the donor cannot be anonymous if the gift is $5,000 or greater. If the gift is $5,000 or less, they can remain anonymous. To your reader, it would look like, thanks to NewsMatch and a local supporter, you don't have to name them. You know, you could just say something generic like that, or a local business. In terms of the documentation you submit to us, you can redact their information, but still demonstrate their explicit permission. And you can also, in the cover sheet, mark them as anonymous. It's just that the gift does have to just still remain within compliance of INN's membership standards, but as long as it does, that will be okay too.
Perfect, thank you.
We also have a question from Bonnie. Once we hit the $13,000 match cap, we can no longer say all donations will be doubled by NewsMatch, right? Because after the cap, it won't.
Yeah. Yes, I think it's pretty much an ethical call for you as a newsroom. What I would do in that situation is actually acknowledge that you've raised the $13,000 and celebrate that. And then what I would do is announce a stretch goal, and maybe the stretch goal isn't necessarily dollar for dollar matched, but it is a goal. Like, we've raised 13,000, but we really would like to get to 20. And when we raise another $7,000, here's what we're going to be able to achieve in 2022. That would be my recommendation. Andrew, oh yeah, that's an interesting idea. So, you know, to just extend the life of your matches. On the screen, you see this concept about triple matches, but Andrew's sharing that you could also suggest like a 50% match, a 25% match, like 50 cents of every dollar, you know, is matched. That's another way you can just sort of like elongate the impact of additional match funds. That's a great idea. I would just express, say that make sure you can articulate it very clearly. Like, I would probably, again, like, use the term 50 cents of every dollar. Sometimes like percentages can be like, huh, what? Like 50% of my gift, like, what does that mean? But yeah, that is the other idea, to really elongate the impact of this incentive. You could provide examples like your $100 becomes $150 for us. Your $50 becomes $75. Anything that you can give to really clearly articulate that, I would say go for it. That's a great idea. Any other questions? Or ideas? Okay, so we'll be putting this info exchange recording, as well as just those explanations of those two examples, on NewsMatch headquarters, which is really where a lot of stuff is. Also, if you have questions from for Christina or I, we're available for office hours. Let me drop the link in the chat for you all. But yeah, either of us are available for office hours, and you can book time with us to talk specifically about your strategies. There's also questions that we have for Cheryl. Cheryl at the Miami Foundation, she is the person that reviews your reporting and documentation. You can set up a meeting with her as early as now and say, hi, FYI, here's the documentation I have, like, just want to get ahead of things. Can you take a look? She's also available for office hours. And other than that, you should already be receiving, as a NewsMatch contact, our weekly assignment emails that drop every Thursday. And it's basically like, here's what you need to be thinking about next week. There's like a brief to-do list. We are pulling examples across the field of people that are doing things that you might be interested in trying. But those are in your inbox. If you're not receiving them, what I would do is say, make sure that hello@NewsMatch is added as a contact, because we send so many like newsletters, they might be going to your like updates folder in Gmail, or they might be going to your spam folder. If you add us as a contact, they'll be sure for them to hit your inbox, and there's a link on how to subscribe. I've dropped in chat. And Elizabeth, you've got a question about the Facebook offer. Let's do that before we sign off.
Yeah, the Facebook thing, as soon as I got the word about that, I went on and signed up and sent what I thought was the right info. I heard back from them right away. No, I needed different info. So, okay, I sent that. And then I didn't hear back. So I checked in with them, I guess, a couple weeks ago, and they said, oh no, your thing wasn't right. You need to send something else. And so I did. And I just checked it again today, and so they haven't been, I'm just wondering if other people had problems, because they're still saying something I sent wasn't right. I think they are.
Okay.
And I sent them the article of incorporation, so it should be fine. Anyway, I'm just a little wondering if other people have had issues signing up for this Facebook fundraiser thingy.
Andrew's flagging that he has, and I've also received notes. So what Facebook has asked us to do is to send a note. They have a help desk at the, I think, Center for Cooperative Media that's helped newsrooms how to leverage Facebook tools. They have it set up where you can send that help desk an email, and they can escalate and expedite. That's what they've asked us to do. So what I'll ask you and Andrew to do, and anyone else that's having this problem, is to send me an email at hello@newsmatch.org, and it can be very brief. You don't have to explain the whole thing, but just send me the email. And what I'll do is make sure you have the email to their help desk and use the words escalation NewsMatch in your subject line and CC us. That way we can track the communication. And if you're not getting responses, what we do is just sort of ping our direct contacts there and say, hey, like, a newsroom's having trouble. Can you step in and take a look at this? So I'm gonna drop my email in the chat. Again, just send me a note that you're having trouble setting up your Facebooks, and I'll get you the information to send to the email to send to their help desk.
Okay, thank you. Have people who have been approved by Facebook actually received notification like you're good to go, or is anyone here?
Has anyone on the call? Yeah. I mean, INN has, but we set ours up last year. but you have to go through the process of showing all your documentation and then select how you want to receive payments, with your banking information. So it has been done, but I'm curious, has anyone on the call initiated something closer to this year, closer to now, and done it successfully? Or is anyone else having the same problem, which I know I see Andrew is, but is anyone else? Okay. Yeah, so Elizabeth and Andrew, just ping me and I'll follow up on that. Any other questions or things you'd like to add, Christina?
No.
Okay. Cool. All right. So appreciate you all's time. I'll post these slides on the support site. And yeah, just feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions.
Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you. See you guys.